This week's drama at Gold One Motor East Mine brought back memories of the 2012 Marikana Massacre. 543 mine workers came to the surface yesterday in the afternoon after they were last seen on a Sunday evening shift. Reports revealed that the recognized union NUM has lost its majority to competing union Amcu. Is also an issue that the mine management only recognized NUM to negotiate on salaries and medical aid, and this is angering mine workers who allege to have lost confidence in the NUM to represent them. But to help us make sense of what actually happened is Amcu President Joseph Mathunjwa. Mathunjwa, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on this evening. First and foremost, let's start at your own observations. You're saying you've made some observations and you are deeply concerned about those who attempted to intervene in this sit-in. What are your concerns and who are you talking to when you say those who tried to intervene?
Yeah, I think you've touched the issue of Marikana, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. And good evening to your viewers and to yourselves. Yes, indeed. The reason why we draw that reference is because we were invited by the employer on Tuesday to be at the mine at 8 a.m. And our comrade leadership, the Deputy President and General Secretary and the Development Desk of Amcu, they were there from 7:30, and they were not attended into until very late. And then subsequent to that, what they picked up, there was kind of a joke in that mine. They were all the senior police officers with the management, as I'm told, with the National Union of Mine Workers. And that it worries us because in Marikana, where its Lone Min was before, which now is still water, the same thing happened. We were invited on the 15th to avail ourselves at LPD at Lone Min at 8 a.m. in the morning. And subsequent to that, the management never attended us on that fateful day of the 16th of August 2012 until very late hours. When we checked, in one of the boardroom was the SEPs with the NUM and Lone Min management. So when we observe such, our members or our leadership observe such, then it reminds us exactly what happened at Lone Min in 2012.
The meeting on Tuesday, of course, was to deal with the issues of a matter that began on the Sunday, but one could say maybe the incident even starts a little bit earlier than that, if you like, earlier in the year when you would have submitted your stop order forms indicating that you've got a majority membership there. Just track for us why this particular process seemingly is not going the way that, in your view, the LRA stipulates it should go.
The first point one must agree on, NUM, it's a majority in that particular mine, which is Gold One. NUM concluded a closed shop agreement, and one would say, what is a closed shop agreement? A closed shop agreement, it's an agreement limiting trade union members to a majority union or unions acting together. Then they can conclude a closed shop agreement after the ballot is conducted, of which they allege that it's what is happening. So therefore, Amcu not knowingly submitted the stop order, which was about 1,200. In those 1,200, the company couldn't sit with us, not explaining much in terms of their closed shop agreement. Nevertheless, we went to the CCMA, issued a certificate of non-resolution. We gave the company 48 hours notice. They ran to labor court to interdict the strike, of which then the strike was successfully interdicted pending the sitting and hearing of the interdict itself, of which Amcu has agreed and abide with the court order by Judge Prinsloo. Then through the frustration of the NUM members who show interest in joining Amcu, then they had this protest underground that resulted in these days that many of the workers never reported for duty. So in other words, Amcu was not on strike. Amcu is not recognized, but we were called because we had an interest. We showed interest through submission of the stop orders. Now, what maybe your viewers would like to know, what is the process moving forward?
Yeah.
The workers, if the 1/3 of the workers, which if that company's got, let's say 1,800, you talk about 600 and odd, maybe 640, 650 of those members who can sign a petition, and that petition should be submitted to suggest that they no longer want to be part of the closed shop agreement. Then the company immediately, they should set up a ballot with the trade union for the workers to confirm that indeed they are no longer want to be part of the closed shop agreement. So on March 2023, when we submitted the stop order, the company should have advised NUM to say 1,200 of your members have decided to join an A trade union. Therefore, the company should have gave NUM a notice, whether it's 60 days or 90 days, to rectify the situation, of which that never happened.
Right.
And in terms of the Liberation Act, Section 26, subsection 15, it will say the company or the trade union should conduct a ballot every 3 years. But in their collective agreement, Gold One and NUM, they limited to a 2-year that they should conduct a ballot to check whether the members, they are still interested to be part of the closed shop agreement, of which that has never happened. In other words, the collective agreement of a closed shop agreement, it's nullified, it's not standing, it's flawed by its nature currently.
So, Harcourt says that Amcu should know that there are processes. It doesn't simply mean you've got the 1,200 stop orders and they must take your word for it. There are processes that would need to be undertaken that would verify and certainly prove that particular membership. And they're saying what happened on Sunday, the sit-in, is not one of those processes that should have been followed.
No, correctly, we fully agree that there are processes. Hence, during March, the month of March 2023, we've written to the employer seeking the organizational right, where this 1,200 was submitted. For the company was to verify whether indeed these are not bogus employees, are the genuine employees employed in the premises. But the company failed to do that. Secondly, the company should have advised NUM by giving them a notice that in terms of your closed shop agreement, there are 1,200 members who are showing interest into another trade union. So therefore, we were not forcing ourselves. Hence, we went to the CCMA. It's part of the process.
Now, pictures that, of course, emerged yesterday were pictures of those who saying, yes, we voluntarily were underground and there was a sit-in. And there were others who came up and said, no, we were actually kept there against our will, which is what the police are also reporting. What actually happened there? Why were some people being kept against their will underground?
I think those who are investigating and those who are in authority, Amcu is not a recognized trade union. We are not underground. Surely the company should conduct, investigation and check among themselves. But what needs to be clear, Amcu does not have members currently in terms of the act. Those were the members of NUM protesting against the company and its trade union, showing frustration from their union and management, which frustrate them not to exercise their right in terms of the constitution of freedom of association.
So you are saying those who were staging the sit-in were not staging the sit-in under the banner of Amcu, because Amcu is not a recognized union there. But as NUM said when we were speaking to them, that it's their members. In fact, they said all of them who are down there are their members and they are being blocked by some 15 people who don't want them to come up?
Can you imagine 15 people blocking over 500? I don't know what they've got superpower. I don't know how do they do it. Because even to enter a gold mine, it's not easy to go inside the gold mine, even with the matches, with any flammable or anything that is not supposed to go. Because these guys, they've got cameras, they've got detectors. So how did they end up going underground as they claim? But I cannot talk on behalf of NUM members or on behalf of NUM or management. But the point is, in terms of the Act, Amcu has stop orders completed by the employees of Code 1, whom are the members of the NUM currently, of which they stage a sit-in underground trying to protest against its own trade union and the management.
So, from what I'm reading from Section 26, it says that if a majority of the employees participate in the balloting and those who vote to terminate the closed shop agreement, then the agreement will be terminated. So the only way that this agreement would be terminated is if this ballot is being held. And why is that difficult to happen?
No, I mean, previously, according to members, they did. But however, currently, they did have a petition. So we start with a petition. They've signed the petition. That petition to be submitted to the employer, and the employer themselves with their trade union, NUM, they must call for the ballot to confirm that petition. But however, earlier on, I did draw you to clause what? Is it clause 5.6.1 to 5.6.3 of their collective agreement on the closed shop agreement on termination? It says every 2 years, the trade union, which is NUM in particular, will conduct a ballot to test whether their members, workers, are still agreeing with the closed shop agreement, of which there are no record of such. Hence, I said earlier on, in the actual fact, the agreement is flawed currently. It does not bind anyone, of which the employer should have notified NUM or asked NUM where are the ballots to prove that your members are still interested in this closed shop agreement. There is no such record for the past, 5 years, 10 years? Remember, this was signed in 2012, round about September, October. And what a coincidence, just after the Marikana Massacre, Neil Froneman, who was the CEO of Gold One, concluded this agreement. But since then, there is no record in terms of the Act or in terms of their own collective agreement, whether there was any ballot conducted. Remember, also, closed shop agreement trample on the freedom of association. Hence, the ballot is so important because it infringed the right of freedom of association.
So why do you think the employer would have overlooked such a critical aspect of this closed shop agreement?
As much as it can be difficult, I don't want to speculate. Maybe they just take things for granted, and maybe they had a very close relation, so they neglected what is very important.
You were allowed then, I'm saying Amcu was allowed to meet with management a little bit on Sunday, hence the appointment for Tuesday morning would have been set during those deliberations. What do you think would have happened between that meeting and the commitment to say we'll meet you on Tuesday at 8 and, of course, NUM coming in and meeting with management, I think, in the middle of the night?
No. I mean, I think it was not on Sunday. It was on Monday.
Monday, yes.
We went there on Monday.
Yeah.
And then there was an engagement. And then subsequent, then they called for Tuesday. And Tuesday, of which it never, happened, the meeting. It took very late until CCMA was called to come in to try to facilitate. And also the CCMA was frustrated. And then they left the process. So
what is the guidelines for the Commission that they need to follow in carrying out this ballot now that we are here?
It's not really the commission, it's a trade union itself. But under these circumstances, I don't know how the trade union, maybe with the assistance of the employer, they have to conduct it, because the petition will be submitted. And the submission of the petition, it directs or it gives a right to the trade union to conduct, a ballot to test that petition. So they still got the second bite.
NUM says they believe that some further investigations need to be conducted about the incident on Sunday, but they've also expressed a sense that some investigations need to be conducted around the kind of issues that you're raising on the closed shop agreement.
What investigation?
In whether or not it can be terminated, I suppose, in the manner in which you're saying it can.
As far as the Act is concerned, it's very clear. Actually, NUM make it difficult for themselves because the Act calls for 3 years. After 3 years, the trade union must conduct a ballot. But in their collective agreement of the closed shop agreement, they put a limit of 2 years. So we need to check. They must submit any records that in the past year, since 2012 to date, how many ballot have they conducted to give the workers the right to choose whether they're still comfortable with their collective agreement. Of such, we've never seen, and it was never presented by the employer to us when we were seeking organizational right. So if they do the investigation, let them do it. It's got nothing to do with us. We've got petition of their members, of the workers, that they want to be out of the closed shop agreement. Then the employer and the majority trade union has to conduct that ballot to test it, whether those petition or the petition is correct, or the workers were not coerced to sign that petition.
The CEO is saying that the halting of operations could have seen the mine bleeding close to 6 to 8 million rands a day. Have things normalized now? Are operations expected to resume? And what are your concerns around the operations resuming?
I think since it was not a strike, it was a protest. Should the operation goes back to normality, every worker must report to duty as when the employer calls them, because there was no strike. As far as we're concerned, there is no strike. The Amcu strike was interdicted by Labour Court, and then we never encourage any prospective members of Amcu to embark on any industrial action. So therefore, this matter is between the majority trade union currently, which is National Union of Mine Workers, and the employer.
Are you not concerned about safety and the well-being of the employees, since the company seemingly has not taken the necessary steps to terminate the closed shop agreement?
What do you mean by safety?
A repeat of a similar situation where frustration mounts and people get hurt and people are stuck underground.
No, I don't think there is anything of such that could happen. We did even emphasize this morning when we were there to say we are a working class. We shouldn't be divided by the color of a T-shirt. We shouldn't be divided by freedom of association. We are workers, we've got different trade unions, but in many instances, we are neighbors. We are coming from the same, maybe province. Some of us are relatives. Why should there be animosity that lead to other people got injured? There is no need for such. It's a freedom of association. For us, especially we black in particular, we should learn about these things, that there is a freedom of association. When a member moves to another trade union, why should others be hurt about that or be injured? Why should be the fight amongst ourselves? Especially, we had a very good relation with the National Union of Mine Workers. Remember the 3-month strike at Sibanye Stillwater? We were together, and then we pulled that strike for 3 months. without any injuries. So I don't think now we should see such incident happening.
As far as the intervention of the police, I understand your observations and you're saying how things played out in terms of what happened in Marikana. What would have been your wish in how the police would have intervened in this matter?
No, firstly, this is the labor issue. When there is a labor issue, why should your first call should be the SEPs? Why? Why don't you go to Department of Labor? Because this is a labor issue. Why don't you go maybe to DMRE, which are the custodian of the minerals of this country? Why do you rush to to the police? Because you remember, even in the Falam Commission, I don't even think that the Ministry of Police have ever complied with the recommendation of the Falam Commission of how to conduct, crowd control. So therefore, even at Marikana, the state unleashed lethal, against the workers, of which it was a labor matter. So the Department of Labor was caught napping. So even this one, there was no need, as far as I'm concerned. They should have started with Department of Labor, engage with the trade union involved, engage with the workers concerned, and if then it's getting out of hand, is above their capabilities, then they should ask another ministry to assist. But just for the first time, you just call the police. I don't think it was a good move.
But Mathunjwa, I appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much for coming on this evening. That is the president of Amcu there, Joseph Mathunjwa. What's making news tonight on In Focus when we continue?